Hi and welcome to One Last View, and today we're going to be talking about our trip to Belize, which is a beautiful little country in Central America.
We loved our trip to Belize. We went for our 10-year wedding anniversary. We went with just us two, no children. And Belize is a place that we would highly recommend to anybody if you're looking for relaxing at the beach, if you're also looking for adventure. There's also a lot of history in Belize. It's just a beautiful place and a magical place. For me, one of the reasons why I wanted to go to Belize was, one, it's different. And in reading about Belize, it just had like a rich history. It's definitely one that more people should know about. I think one of the reasons people don't know too much about Belize is because their tourism didn't really start to develop until 1998.
Talking to some locals, they were saying that the politicians were wanting to bring more money into the economy, and that's when they started investing more money into tourism. So you will see that some of the roads aren't as developed or paved, but we saw that there was a lot of construction happening.
A lot of resorts, a lot of hotel chains are going there. And I think people are predicting that tourism will probably explode and increase in the next couple of years. So Belize is probably going to be a place that more and more people are talking about. And they should, because it is beautiful and it is fun, and we had the best time. And I think too, in terms of price, it's a cheaper option than going to some other parts.
The currency there is the Belize dollar, and the conversion is actually 2 Belizean dollars to $1, but they actually also accept dollars there. You don't have to convert any money before you go there or even when you're there. You can actually just pay a vendor US dollars, and then they'll give it back to you, usually in US dollars, or maybe sometimes they'll give it to you in Belizean dollars. We'll talk about the best times to go, which is actually January to May.
That's more likely to be dry and sunny, so you won't have rainy season. But we went in July. We were lucky, we didn't have any rain. It was nice and sunny and beautiful the whole time.
The language they speak there is English, Creole, Garifuna, and Spanish. And a lot of them spoke English. It is pretty easy to get around just using English.
So the time that we went was in July, and that happened to be lobster season. Lobster season, for anyone that likes seafood and likes lobster, is June and July. And that's also something that was a happy coincidence, because we do like seafood. So when you're there for lobster season, a lot of the vendors on the beach are grilling lobster right there, and it's really delicious, and it was really, really inexpensive. I think on one day we had lobster for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It was nonstop, and I think for a snack and for the price, it was definitely worth it.
And if I remember, majority of the time when we went, the lobsters were about $20 for a whole lobster, prepared however you wanted it, which is amazing. When we were in Belize, we stayed in 2 areas. We stayed in San Ignacio, which is in the Cayo district, and then we also stayed in the Keys, and we stayed specifically in Ambergris Key. And so we're going to talk about some of the places that we went to in both areas.
So when we flew into Belize, we landed in Belize City, and then we took a taxi from Belize City and drove to San Ignacio. And that trip was about 1 hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours.
And so where we stayed was at Mystic River Resort. It was a jungle, eco-friendly resort. It was beautiful because you felt like you're in the middle of the jungle. Over at that resort, they have some nature hikes, some bird watching. You can also do some canoeing on the Macau River. And it's great because it's not like a hotel. There are little private cabins that are separated. So there's no shared walls between anyone.
A lot of privacy.
So the 2 places where you can stay when you're staying on the islands is either Caye or Ambergris Key. And you know, it's up to your choice what you want to do. If you want something a little more laid back, I guess they say go to Caye. If you want something a little more with more nightlife and a lot more things going on, Ambergris Key is good to do. And we stayed at Costa Blue Beach Resort, which is on the northern part of Ambergris Key.
It was a little bit farther, so it wasn't as close as other resorts or other hotels. That's probably one thing. I wish it was a little bit closer, but Costa Blue is a really beautiful resort. The staff were really nice and accommodating, so it's definitely a beautiful place.
It felt very laid back too. I don't think we felt like we were in the city. And getting around in both areas was very different. So when we were staying in San Ignacio, we actually, to get around there, we were taking taxis and the local shuttle. But when we were in Ambergris Key and Caye, we were using golf carts to get around.
And it's also pretty walkable, especially if you're in Kikalkar and you're on the beach and you're staying close to the beach. There's lots of restaurants and food close by. And we also saw people biking. We didn't rent any bikes, but that's also another way to get around on the beach at least. I liked the food in Belize. They have like rice and usually some sort of meat. They have pretty good stews that were really flavorful. I know that their coconut shrimp, coconut chicken dishes were really good. And then obviously the seafood is really, really good. When we were in San Ignacio, there's two restaurants that stuck out to us. One was Ko Ox Han Na, and then the other was Seneda's. Both were really delicious. At Seneda's, they had really good traditional Belizean cuisine. They actually had really good drinks too. And then at Ko Ox Han Na, they had more of a mix and also Belizean dishes as well.
So we also went to Sweet Ting, which is a bakery.
In the city in San Ignacio, they had really good brownies. I have a sweet tooth, so I had to I had to try their sweets.
When we were in Ambergris Key, we ate at this great ice cream place called D&E's.
Yeah, we ate there a couple times.
Yeah, it was really hot and humid at times, and definitely it was a nice, refreshing dessert.
Our favorite flavor while we were in Belize for like a drink or an ice cream was soursop. We also had dinner at El Fogón. It was another restaurant that serves traditional Belizean food, and the dishes were a little bit more pricier, but it's also highly recommended. They have a lot of big dishes that you can share, so you're able to try a lot of different dishes from that restaurant.
So we stayed at Costa Blue in Ambergris Key, and on the way into town was this little place called Tipsy Lobster, and it was really good. So we had a lot of seafood dishes, and one of them being the conch, which was great.
Yeah, and soursop.
Yeah,
I think we had soursop smoothies.
Let's just assume we had soursop everywhere we went. So because of COVID, unfortunately we weren't able to go to Tikal in Guatemala because we weren't able to cross the border there. So the next biggest Mayan ruin we went to check out was Caracal, which is amazing, really gorgeous and beautiful. Caracal is a large ancient Mayan archaeological site located in the Cayo district, and it's the largest Mayan city ever excavated in Belize. And it once was home to 150,000 people, and it was the largest Maya center in Belize.
And you can definitely just feel the history and kind of imagine what it looked like back in that time. When you go there, you'll see really majestic temples that you can actually get up close and climb and see and explore. Caracal is definitely a must-see and a must-visit, especially if you want to see history, if you want to see Mayan ruins.
We also went to Rio Frio Cave, which is in the Mountain Pine Ridge Forest Reserve. It's a limestone cavern, which was once used for ancient Mayan ceremonies. It has small pools in there, waterfalls, and stalactite formations.
On the way to Caracal, you have the opportunity, if you're on a tour, to take a stop there and look around and take pictures and do a little bit of exploring.
We also went to the Rio on Pools, which is a swimming hole by the McCall River. It has smooth rocks for sliding and climbing, small waterfalls, different sized pools and warm waters. So we were able to see the top part, and we actually were able to go down to the bottom and swim, which was really cool.
It's definitely really beautiful to swim in nature, and towards the waterfall, the water is really clean and it's warm. So one of the best things that we did while we were in San Ignacio was visit the ATM cave. ATM is short for Aktun Tunichi Muknal Cave. It's a historical and national landmark. It's one of the most popular cave tours. A lot of people who go say that it's life-changing, and we would definitely agree. When you go, it has a vast network of underground chambers, and even within the chambers are different diverse ecosystems within it. You'll see bats, you'll see fish, you'll see like little shrimp while you're in there. It's also like a living museum. That's what our tour guide had called it, because there's so much history and there's just so much to see in there, and they're doing a great job of making sure it's preserved. One thing to keep in mind though is that you're not allowed to bring cameras or your phone and take pictures or take video. But the reason for that is because in the late 90s, a tourist went there, brought their camera and dropped it on one of the skulls that was there, causing it to crack. So when you're there, just take it all in and really just be in the moment.
Another thing to be mindful of, it is a little on the strenuous side because it does require some swimming and some climbing.
A lot of climbing.
Yeah, a lot of climbing. You have to be able to maneuver between crevices sometimes.
I think there was one part where we were like neck deep in water, and we had to like fit our heads between two rocks in some way to get out of it. So it might not be the best for someone who's claustrophobic. Expect some strenuous activity. You have to swim to get to certain points. You need something something to protect your feet. So like water shoes. So when you are there, you will see skulls, bones, everything like that. You'll see vases and pottery, places where they had some rituals in that time period. So it's really amazing and it is life-changing.
Yeah. One thing I remember now that you mention it, was I remember the tour guide telling us to look at the ceiling, and you can kind of see the scorch marks because when they did the sacrifices there or ceremonies for burying their dead, they were there for days sometimes. So they had to go down there, save some food, have some meals down there. So you definitely could see that the caves were lived in.
Another Mayan site that you might want to see in San Ignacio is Cajalpesh. It's smaller than Caracal, much smaller. It's in the city, so it's pretty easy to get to, but it's also another place to see Mayan ruins and see some history.
One of the other places we went to in San Ignacio was Aha Chocolate, where we did some chocolate making and tasting.
It's a family-owned business. It's a couple who brought their Mayan chocolate making to Belize, and that's basically how you're going to be making the chocolate, how the Mayans did it. And I think AHA stands for elite. So it's elite chocolate. The chocolate was really good. I know we had made like a hot chocolate type drink that was really delicious, but it was really fun. There was no machines. So you make the chocolate by stone grinding. But it's definitely also, I think, a fun thing to do.
So one other thing we did in San Ignacio was actually canoe down the Macal River. We had a guide who take us from Mystic River Resort all the way down to the city.
So canoeing was fun. I'm glad that we did it, but I didn't expect it to be 2 hours and what 2 hours feels like canoeing. I mean, it really does give you a workout with your arms and your back and your shoulders, but it was a good time. And I think our tour guide was also very patient because there's a couple times where we kept, for whatever reason, getting stuck. One of the sad things that we saw while we were canoeing was that we saw parts of the river where it looked like it was low. And our tour guide had said that over time, with climate change, that the river is losing water, it's getting lower. He had grown up in the area and used to swim in the river, and it was a lot higher. So you definitely do see things changing and the effects of climate change and things like that.
After canoeing down the river, we actually took a tour of the city, and we walked around and had lunch. Then we ended up taking a shuttle back to our resort. So after San Ignacio, we took the shuttle down to Belize City, and then we took a water taxi to San Pedro in Ambergris Key. One of our top things we did in Ambergris Key was go snorkeling at Holchan Marine Reserve, which is a shallow cut in the Belize Barrier Reef. So what we did was a roughly 2-hour snorkeling tour at Holchan Marine Reserve. We actually went to 2 places, one of them being Shark Alley, another one being another part of the reef. They're all gorgeous and beautiful. You got to see a lot of marine life. We got to feed some of the sharks. It's amazing just sticking some food out and they were just like gobbling it up. Another really cool thing is we saw a beautiful sea turtle.
You have to be obviously mindful with the marine life to not disrupt them too much, but feeding the nurse sharks, feeding the fish was definitely a really fun experience. And the waters are just really blue and clear. It's amazing. I don't even know how else to describe it. It's just one of those things that is a definite must-see, must-do. It does give you a nice appreciation for the earth and for how beautiful nature is.
Another thing we did in Ambergris Key was go to Secret Beach, which wasn't so secret. It's on the western part of Ambergris Key, and it was a row of little resorts that had tables on the water and music and DJs. But it was really cool just kind of hang out on there and have a drink.
You can lay out and they have chairs there. So it's a place to go and lounge around. They have pretty good food. There's no other place to get food, so just expect to pay a little bit higher prices if you're going to be eating at Secret Beach at any of the restaurants or the resorts there. But it's really cool because they serve you the food like right on the water. There was a table like out in the water and we ordered some appetizers and they brought it out to us in the water. That's also really fun, really picturesque.
Another thing we did was taking another water taxi from Ambergris Key to Key Cocker, which is a smaller island and is not as populated. And so it was great, and it was a little more relaxing and a little more laid back. And that was the area where we ate a lot of lobster.
Oh yeah, that's right. Key Calker is really cute. It's walkable. There's a lot of restaurants, a lot of places to eat and just enjoy the day there. There's a lot of places to swim. You'll see also locals swimming. There's like a dive board where everyone, like kids and everyone, where they were practicing their diving right into the ocean. So Key Calker is definitely a cute place to visit. It's definitely worth taking a day and spending time out there. there. And the one place we went to that stands out to me was Chef Kareem's Lunch. He has a grill and he has a whole setup right on the beach. We definitely recommend it. I think his lobster was better than some of the restaurants.
And so that wraps up our tour of Belize. It was amazing, it was beautiful.
Definitely worth visiting and going to. I definitely don't sleep on going to Belize. I think it's worth taking a trip. I think we went, just us two, but it's definitely something that our kids would have enjoyed going to as well. That's family friendly. There's something for everyone. If you want to party, there's you can party there. If you want to just relax on the beach, there's opportunities to do that. If you want to do some more adventure, there's definitely adventurous things to do, historic sites to see.
So that's it for our tour of Belize. If you like this video, please hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, also get that notification bell. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.